What's up, guys? Welcome to my Season 3 recap of my Detroit Tigers Out of the Park series. This season for us was very, very successful. We went 88-75. We finished third in the Central Division. Enough for us to make that second wildcard spot where we went on and we beat the Chicago White Sox in that wildcard game. But then, unfortunately, we get swept by the Minnesota Twins in that series. So it's basically exactly what I wanted from us this season. I wanted to make it to the playoffs and win a game. We won the wild card game, which sort of counts, sort of doesn't, but I'm happy with it nonetheless. Let's go ahead and first take a look at what made us so successful this year. So I want to take a look at the trades that we made this season, starting with the Mondesi trade. It was a big trade because we were going to bring back Xander Bogaerts in that offseason, but he was not signing with us, so we had to figure something else out at shortstop. And Mondesi was here. He was available. We went and we got him from the Royals. We gave up one of our top prospects here. He's a center fielder. He's 17. He looks like he's going to be really, really good. It was just we had to give up something in order for us to get something in return. Makes sense. He's now 18. He still looks like he's going to be good. He's not anything special in my opinion. He looks good, but it's not anything that I was too worried about giving up. He could be something like an all-star, superstar one day, but hopefully we win that trade a few years from now. And then we also gave up Bryant Packard, who looks kind of decent. He's a first baseman, third baseman. This year for Kansas City in the majors, he hit .260 with a .333 on base, 20 home runs, 78 RBIs. So that's a pretty good year from him. It's not anything standout, though, at first base. So that's pretty good. But I think we won this trade so far, at least, since we made the playoffs and they didn't, and they're in our division. So I'm happy with that. Next, we'll go ahead and we'll move on to another trade. It wasn't a very big trade. We traded Daniel Norris and Michael King away for Ian Miller and $8 million in cash. This was a salary dump, basically. Daniel Norris was making $3.5 million a year, so I didn't want him impeding our salary money. And then we also gave him Michael King, who was sort of just a throw-in. He's good. He's not great. He wasn't really going to be on our roster, so I was fine with getting rid of him. We got Ian Miller, who I cut immediately, so now he's on someone else's roster. And we got $8 million in return, so it was a big money move there. Next, we traded for an ace in Luis Castillo, who's pitched really well for us. I'll go into that later, though. We gave up quite a bit. We gave up two guys that were sort of old prospects, Daniel Cabrera, who's 25 now, Nick Quintana, who's 26 now. They both are prospects still. I didn't think they were ever going to get called up for us, so I was fine with getting rid of them. David McKay is a relief arm that was going in and out of our bullpen, but I never saw him being a permanent piece there, so I was fine with getting rid of him. And then Joey Wentz was definitely the biggest piece that we got rid of. He was a top prospect for us. He's 26 now, though. He pitched for Cincinnati this year. He pitched to a 4.39 ERA, 177 strikeouts, and 197 innings. He wasn't bad, it doesn't look like. He went 13-10, which is pretty good. But I'm happy with this deal. Luis Castillo is amazing for us. We have him locked up now for, I believe it's 2 more years after this. Yeah, 2 more years after this. His contract does go up a little bit, though, unfortunately, but hopefully it's not too big of a deal. Hopefully he can live up to the salary we're paying him. Next, we'll move on to the next deal. Once again, not a big deal at all. We traded Jesus Aguilar for Jake Washer, who I'm pretty sure I cut again. This was also a salary dump. We brought him in. Or it wasn't a salary dump, actually. He just didn't want to go to AAA, and we didn't have the roster spots for him. I brought him in free agency as a bench bat, and then we ended up bringing Evan Longoria in as a captain bench bat, so he took the place of Aguilar. There was no more room for him on the roster, so we just had to let him go somehow, and I decided to trade him away instead of waiving him or cutting him because no one was picking him up off waivers, and I didn't want to cut him with that $1 million salary. So we just traded him away for nothing, basically. Next, we move on to one of the other big trades we made. We traded for Joey Bart and basically $10 million in cash for Ivan Herrera, who I was very high on. We even went and signed him to that big extension last offseason, $50 million over 10 years. I was really high on him, but he wasn't producing, neither was Cal. So we went ahead and we traded Ivan for Joey Bart. He's also a captain, so he's going to be our captain for the future. He hit decent for us. I'll go into that more later, obviously. I was happy with this trade. It's a good trade. We also got money in it, which helped us later on too. So I'm happy with that. Next, we'll go and look at Brandon Woodruff. We went and acquired another starting pitcher because that's where we lack a lot of in our team. He was good for us. I think he's gonna be good for us still. We gave up quite a bit here as well. We gave up Cal Raleigh, who I was also really high on. He's back when one of our first trades, I believe, was for Cal, LeJay Newsome, and Evan White, I believe, for Matt Boyd. And now we're getting rid of him now for Brandon Woodruff. We also gave up Will Vest, who was a decent bullpen arm for us, but it was time for him to go, just like with all the other bullpen arms that we have. They just weren't good enough to constantly be in that rotation, or that bullpen, so I was fine with it. We also gave up Tyler Alexander, who was a decent starting pitching minor league piece. He was decent, nothing special. I wasn't going to ever call him up probably, so I was fine with getting rid of him there. And Steven Brault was just a throw-in, nothing special with him. Half-star overall, half-star potential. He's 31. No one really cares about him there. So that's that trade. I think that was a good trade. I think we're going to end up fine with that trade. Cal's the only person I'm worried about really getting rid of, and he isn't that great necessarily. And then here's a good trade for us. We traded for Aroldis Chapman late for free, basically. We gave up Brody Brecht, who's a 21-year-old, half-star overall, 1.5 potential. He looks decent. I drafted him a while ago. Nothing ever came from him being on our team, so I was fine with him letting him go there. And then we get Aroldis Chapman, and they pay the entirety of his salary for this year. So I was happy bringing him in for free there. He pitched decent for us. Nothing really special. He was just a lefty specialist for us since we have so many other good bullpen arms. He wasn't a huge part of our bullpen. But it was a decent trade. It was just a little adding to our team to try and make that playoff push. Here's the biggest trade I've made of the series probably. We trade for Jose Ramirez to be our superstar for this year. While it didn't necessarily work out like that, it's up in the air still of whether or not it will work out. We give up Drew Waters, a big outfield prospect for us. He was hitting really good in AAA, and then for Cleveland, he actually hit pretty good. It looks like he hit 280 with a 327 on base, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs in 26 games. Not bad. He's still 24. He's a switch hitter. There's still a lot of potential in him. We also give up Matt Manning, who didn't do that great for Cleveland either once he got traded. He was pitching very poorly for us. Even in AAA, he only had a 4.15 ERA, and I would think he would do a lot better as a major league pitcher, but he just wasn't working out for us. I didn't really love it. I just would rather have had Jose over Matt Manning being in AAA for the rest of the year. And then we give up Alex Fuedo, who another one of those AAA starting pitchers that was never really going to get called up, so I was fine with getting rid of him. Xavier Isaac was a little hard to get rid of. He's a big power bat, DH, first baseman type of guy who drafted a few years ago. He's only 19 still. He looks like he's going to be decent. He's a little bit hard to get rid of. And then Connor Furman was just a throw-in. 1-star overall, 2-star potential. He's 20. I don't ever see him being anything special there, so I was fine with doing that. Jose Ramirez was a 1-year rental, though, so we kind of did give up a whole lot just for the 1-year rental. But hopefully it ends up working out. Hopefully we can maybe re-sign him. We have a lot of guys that I want to re-sign that are going to be quite expensive, so we'll see how much money we have. That was the last trade that we made before we just went on that playoff run. And I'll show you guys who won the World Series right here. The Minnesota Twins actually go on and win it after they sweep us. They go in a 7-game series with the Angels, and they win that. And they go in a 7-game series in the World Series against the Brewers, and they win that after being down 3-2, I'm pretty sure. The World Series MVP is Royce Lewis, who actually destroyed us in one game. He hit 3 home runs in one game against us. So he was just hot this whole entire series, or playoffs, I guess. So he definitely deserved the World Series MVP in my opinion. Now we'll jump straight into the stats. Very up and down stats from a lot of these guys. I'm happy with most of them. We'll start with Joey Bart here at catcher. 255 average, 333 on base, 12 home runs, 45 RBIs for an OPS plus of 106, which is good. Home runs, I wish were a little bit higher, but I'm fine with it. He hit 21 doubles, which is pretty good. His average was fine. I'm sure his defense was fine. 2.5 WAR, which is pretty good. Austin Hedges was just a backup catcher for us. I don't really care about any of the stats he has here. He's just a defensive catcher. That's what his job is. Next, we'll go to Miguel Sano, our first baseman towards the end of the year. He hit 232 with 316 on base, 42 home runs, which is huge, 106 RBIs, perfect numbers there, 105 OPS plus. I'm fine with that. Big home run numbers, big RBI numbers. I'm really, really happy with what he provided on the power side of the ball there. That's exactly what I brought him in for. He's cheap enough to where that's exactly what I want from him. Perfect season from him. Torkelson was a little underwhelming. 221 batting average, 328 on base. 26 home runs, though, is really, really good. If he could just get that average up and that on base up, he's a superstar there, basically. I really am happy with that. OPS plus of 93 is, below average, but I think he has the ability to definitely be above average there. He's definitely going to only get better from this point. He's still 24. He's just learning a new position this year, so I'm fine with what he provided for us. Next, we'll go to Jose Ramirez, who hit 254 on the season, 355 on base for an OPS plus of 117. He also had 25 home runs. The OPS plus is really good, but I'm pretty sure that the difference between Cleveland and us is pretty big. He had 225 with us compared to 275 with Cleveland. His OPS plus was 97 with us. So, yeah, he was below average with us. He wasn't exactly what I wanted him to be. He was decent in the playoffs, though. He wasn't necessarily bad or anything. I would like to bring him back for another season or 2 or 3, however many years he wants. We'll see if we can even afford that, but let's just move on next to Austin Riley, who played DH towards the end of the year for us. He played a little bit of third base, too, towards the beginning. He wasn't bad. 248 average, 310 on base, 25 home runs, 60 RBIs. Pretty decent from him. 103 OPS plus. I'm happy with that. A little bit above average. That's all we can really ask for from Austin Riley. Next, we'll go to Mondesi, who I was really, really happy with. 285 average, 320 on base. I would like that to be a little bit higher, but that's fine for this year. Only 17 home runs, which is a little disappointing because he did have 31 last year, but I guess it's getting more towards what he usually hits. I guess last year was just a blip. 59 RBIs on this year. He did score 91 runs, which led the team, and the big thing was 51 stolen bases, which is huge. That's a lot of stolen bases. Only caught stealing 7 times, too, so very good there. Next, we'll go to Riley Green, who is very, very, very disappointing. Probably the most disappointing player on the team. We signed him to a big contract, and then he disappoints us. Not really surprised, honestly. He hit 234 with a 293 on base, which is awful. Not only 9 home runs, too. 54 RBIs is not bad, but considering where he hit 5th, 4th, 3rd, he hit throughout the year, that's pretty bad. 74 OPS plus, though, is really, 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 really bad. That has to come up next year, or there's going to be a real problem. He had a negative WAR. That's only 2 players on the team had negative WAR, and the other one's a backup catcher, so that's really bad from him. Trey Harris had another really, really good year. He's looking like the best piece we got out of that Atlanta Braves deal. He's been consistently good for us. In the MLB, he's had 3 seasons with us. In 2021, he hit 302 with a 351 on base. And then 2022, he hit 280 with 343 on base. And this year, he hit 286 with a 339 on base. So he's just been consistently hitting around the 280 to 300 average right there, and I'm really happy with that. His OPS plus was 96, though, but with those 22 steals and everything else he provides for us, I don't know necessarily if I care that much about that OPS plus being below average, because I think he was really good for us this year. Next, we'll go to Cespedes, who I'm pretty sure he was an all-star this year. He hit 293 with a 329 on base. 28 home runs, 105 RBIs. He led the team in RBIs until basically that last game of the year when Sano overtook him. He had a 117 OPS plus for the highest on the team. If you don't count Jose, who wasn't good for us, his OPS plus was bad for us. But Cespedes, the entire year with us, has been really, really good. And that trade that we made for him with the Chicago White Sox, actually, is looking huge. I'm pretty sure we gave up one of our right fielders for him, and then now he's just out here performing like a near MVP type of guy, hitting really, really well. So I'm really happy with what he's been doing for us the past few years, and he's just getting better at this point too. I won't go too far into the bench. Tyler Frank, 261 average, 365 on base, OPS plus 93. No one on the bench was really that great. Evan Longoria had a good OPS plus, but he only played in 11 starts, 56 plate appearances. Nothing really special there. That's a small sample size. He's already 38. I wouldn't be surprised if he retired as well. Derek Hill, just a backup guy, so I'm not worried about that. Next, we'll get into the pitching side of the ball for stats. We have Luis Castillo, who is really good for us. He was injured for a lot of the year, though, so you can't really take that with, the entire greatness that really is. I mean, 72 innings pitched, a good ERA plus, a good FIP minus. I'm really happy with all that. 77 strikeouts in 72 innings is good. He went 5-1. He pitched like an ace, basically, for us. Hopefully he can keep that up going into next year, and hopefully he can be healthy next year. I'd be really happy if that's all he does. Brandon Woodruff was decent for us. He wasn't anything really great. He pitched 113 innings for us, and then he pitched 83 for Milwaukee. His ERA plus with us was good. His FIP minus was good, so he only got better with us. I was really happy with that. He went 6-6 though. He did have a little bit of a rough patch at one point, but then he got better towards the end of the season, which was the best part that he could have gotten hot at. So I was happy with that. He was around a 4-win pitcher for the entire year, if you combine Milwaukee and his time with us. So I'm happy with what he did. He's gonna be a good two pitcher for us. LeJay was an all-star this year. However, he did fall off at the end of the year. He ended up with a 4.21 ERA and a FIP at 4.29. He usually is really, really good at keeping near that FIP. Like, throughout his entire career, even in Seattle, his FIP and his ERA were somewhat similar. But then if you look at his time with us, it's been, 0.02 off last year and then 0.08 off this year. So he's very consistent with how he pitches. And his strikeouts are never going to be that great, but he just pitches good. He did fall off, though. I'll show you guys what I mean. And let's go to September and August. In August, he had a 9 ERA. In September, he had a 6.54 ERA. But before that, in April, it was 1.78. May, 3.77. June, 1.78. July, 4.36, which isn't great, but it's not bad at the same time. He pitched really well in those first 4 months. Fell off in the last 2, and then in October, he kind of got back to where he was supposed to be. But it was nothing too special. He was really good. I like what he brings for us. Next, we'll go to Tukey. Tukey was decent for us. 4.66 ERA, 4.37 FIP, both above average there. He struck out a decent amount, 201 in 193 innings. He went 11-13. He was above average. That's really all you can say about Tukey for us. And then next, we also had, I'm going to have to go to here, playoff roster, and then we're going to have to look at Domingo Germán like this. He actually wasn't on a playoff roster, but he pitched good this year. Once again, staying close to that FIP, 4.61 ERA, 4.64 FIP, both above average. He had 185 strikeouts and 177 innings, so he was healthy. He did his job. He was above average. I was happy with that. He's probably going to be back next year as a starting pitcher again. We'll see, though, what we bring in. He might be actually the one that's the odd man out once we get Casey Mize back, who is out for 7 months still. He got even more injured this year, so we didn't even get to see him this year, which is unfortunate because he's going to be probably 27 by the time he comes back. And that's just a lot of his career gone right there. Next, we'll go into the bullpen. We'll start with Aroldis, I guess. He was decent after the trade. 3.97 ERA. His FIP was 4.22. Not great, but, it's good enough. He wasn't anything special. He only pitched 11 innings for us, 15 strikeouts. He wasn't anything big for us, like I said. He was just a piece there that I wanted extra. Next, we'll go to Alex Lang, who was decent for us. He's more of a long relief guy for us, so he's not a crucial role, but he's pretty good. 88 strikeouts in 65 innings. His ERA was 3.03. His FIP was 3.82, both way above average. Very happy with him being our long relief guy. Next, go to Joey Gerber, who was sort of a throw-in at the end of the year for that last playoff spot on our roster. And he was in AAA and AA throughout the year, but then towards the end he was on our Major League roster. He only pitched in 6 games, 8 innings. He had a good ERA plus, good FIP though, really, really good actually. 13 strikeouts in 8 innings. He was just really good at the end of the year. He earned his spot there towards the end. Nothing too special, not a big sample size, so I won't go into it too much. Next, we'll look at Martinez, who actually one of our first big signings that we had. He pitched good this year. He bounced back a lot from his last season, which was really bad. He had a 2.7 ERA, 3.28 FIP, both well above average, 72 strikeouts in 60 innings. Really, really good stuff from him. I'm really, really happy with him. I don't think I have anything to complain about with him. He was good. We'll look at Aaron Fletcher next, who was until Aroldis Chapman got here. He was our lefty specialist, but now he's in middle relief for us. He pitched 42 innings for an ERA of 4.04, a FIP of 4.45. Both above average. I'll take it. Nothing too special. He struck out 58 in 42 innings. Pretty good there. I can't complain about that. He's one of the only lefties in our bullpen, so I'm fine with what he brought as a lefty. Next, we'll go to Munoz, a big bullpen arm for us, in my opinion. 1.9 ERA, 2.76 FIP, way above average from him there. 61 innings as well, 84 strikeouts. He is a really, really good piece for us. I'm really glad we traded for him with Seattle. He is huge for us. I'm pretty sure that was with the Sonny Gray trade too, so huge piece for us. He's going to be huge for years and years to come. I'm super happy with him. He's probably our best bullpen arm this entire year. Next, we'll go to Brian Garcia. He was a setup guy for us. 62 innings, 80 strikeouts, 3.75 ERA, 3.05 WHIP. Both above average. I like what I see from him. He's been one of the guys that's been on this team since the beginning, so I'm happy with him. Next, we'll go to Hernandez, who we traded for with Boston. He was good. He wasn't our closer this year, which is probably for the better. He pitched in 53 innings, basically, 77 strikeouts, 3.08 ERA, 3.44 FIP, which above average, like I've been saying. We have a really good bullpen. I'm happy with what he brought, very similar to a lot of the other guys on our team. Next, we have Edwin Diaz, who we brought in the offseason to be our closer. 60 innings, 28 saves. He had 111 strikeouts in those 60 innings, which is really, really impressive. 3.32 ERA, 3.96 FIP. Both above average, not necessarily where I want it to be, but it's fine. He blew 5 saves. He had 28 saves, so it's not great, not bad. Pretty good year from him. That's our entire pitching side now. I was happy with basically everyone here. Hopefully we can keep this up hopefully this can be like our staple for years to come, is that our pitching's good, our bullpen's good, because we have a very good bullpen, and I hope we can just keep all these guys on this team. Next, we'll go ahead and we'll look at prospects. I actually made a short list of all the prospects that I wanted to go over, starting with this guy who we drafted in this year's draft. I'm pretty sure he is a starting pitching prospect. He's already 2.5 star, 2.5 potential, so he's basically where he's going to be, but he looks decent. I could see him being a pitcher for us. He pitched in 31 innings. All of them were starts. He had 32 strikeouts. His ERA was 4.65, and his FIP was 3.80. So his ERA wasn't great, but his FIP was good. He had a good FIP minus. He went 3-2. He looks like he's going to be decent. I hope he can just sort of improve just a little bit more. I hope he has that little bit more room to improve, because he looks like he could be a decent fill-in starter for us if someone gets injured. I'm happy with what he did. We'll save Tamar Johnson. We'll go to Jack Leiter next. We'll stick with pitching. He had a good year. He could have been called up this year, honestly, but I just wanted to go one more year. He pitched in 24 starts, 112 innings for 100 strikeouts. He had a 3.53 ERA, a 3.25 FIP, Both were above average. Both are very good. If he could just get those strikeouts up just a little bit more, then he's easily ready. He might be on our starting rotation next year. We'll see what happens. He did really good though, in AAA this year, so I'm really happy with that. Next, we'll go to Tamar Johnson now. He was sort of in the air. He played in A+ and AA this year. In A+, he hit 255 with an OPS plus of 93, but then in AA, he was a lot better. 296 average, 388 on base for an OPS plus of 112. He only hit the 2 home runs, but he did have 3 doubles, a triple. He walked a decent percentage, and he didn't strike out that much, so I'm happy with that. WRC plus of 119. Hopefully the higher in the organization that he gets, the better he performs. Maybe he's one of those type of guys. Hopefully he can keep getting better. He's going to be that starting shortstop of the future. He might even be next year, depending on how good he can get in the offseason. Next, we're going to go to Michael Brown, who I'm pretty sure we drafted this year as well. In A+, he hit 233 average, 324 on base for an OPS plus of 148, though, because he had 11 home runs in 24 games. He is exactly what I wanted him to be, a power bat. That's literally all I drafted him for, and that's exactly what he's doing. It is in the low side of our minor league system, but hopefully he can carry that to the higher sides and maybe even be a major league bat for us one day. We'll move on to Tucker Flint. A lot of these guys are drafted from this year. Tucker Flint is another one. I brought him in for his gap power and his home run power, and his contact and eye are decent as well. He hit 322 with a 393 on base, OPS plus of 168. He had 13 home runs in 47 games. He was really, really good. He walks at a decent percentage and strikes out kind of high, but not that high. He was pretty good. I like what we have with him as a backup outfielder, potentially maybe. We'll go to Rob Gordon next. He was one of our first draft picks in this series. He is now he's been up to AAA, but he's also been in A+ this year. He's been all over the place. Let's just look at AAA. He hit 270 with a 320 on base. He had an OPS plus of 91, though. 1 home run, that's the issue with him. He doesn't have the power. Similar to Tamar Johnson, he just doesn't have the power to stay really as a piece with us probably. His potential's down a lot from what it was. He's not looking like he's going to turn out to be anything great. He still has the good defensive ratings and decent speed and stuff, but it's just the bat isn't really coming around for him. So he might be someone that we have to give up on soon. Next, we'll look at one of our first catching prospects that we had, I'm pretty sure. Jacob Cozart. He was across 3 different minor league teams this year. Let's look at, I guess A-ball is the one he played the most at. So he hit 234, 302 on base, 80 OPS plus, which isn't great. But then he got called up to A+, and he hit 147 OPS plus in 21 games. So he might be one of those guys that goes up higher and plays better. I'm not sure. We'll have to call him up to A+ for more games, maybe AA, see how he does. We'll just move on straight to Zion Rose, who was our top draft pick this year. He was drafted 7th in the draft this year. He is killing it in A-ball. 311 average, 400 on base for an OPS plus of 151. He has 6 home runs in 50 games. He looks like he's going to be really good. He's only 18 still. He has good defensive abilities, decent speed for a catcher. He looks like he's going to be a pretty good bat for us one day maybe. He could take over eventually for Joey Bart whenever he gets too old or his contract's coming up. So I'm really happy with a lot of our prospects there. Next, we'll go over our team stat ranking. So on the offensive side of the ball, we'll just go ahead and we'll look. Runs scored was 12th. Batting average was 12th. On base was 11th. OPS was 10th. Batting WAR was 11th. WOBA was 12th. Home runs was 8th, though. Stolen bases was 1st, thanks to Mondesi, basically. And our base running was 8th. So we were very bad on the offensive side of the ball, in rankings-wise, at least. Next, if we look at, though, on the defensive side of the ball / pitching side. Runs against, we were 6th, which is pretty good. Our starters' ERA was 9th, though, which isn't great, but our bullpen ERA was 1st. We're really good at that. We're 1st in strikeouts. We're 3rd in pitching WAR, 5th in FIP. Defensive efficiency, though, was not great at 12th. And then we were tied for 2nd in errors, and our zone rating was 12th as well. So a lot of up and down there. We can definitely use some help on the offensive side of the ball, which is why I brought in so many offensive pieces this year. A lot of them just didn't work out. We'll see who we bring back and who we don't bring back. I think that's going to do it for recapping everything that's happened. I don't think there's anything else. We'll go now into the off-season plan. So let's take a look at salaries first. We have a lot of guys expiring. We have Jose Ramirez and Mondesi expiring. Big pieces of our lineup right there. That's our leadoff and our third hitter. We also have Evan Longoria, who's expiring, who's not going to get brought back. Billy Hamilton's not going to get brought back. Austin Hedges is hopefully going to get brought back as a backup catcher again. And then we have Dennis Santana and Mitch Keller also leaving. Probably not going to get brought back. And also Aroldis Chapman, who, as you can see, is free. He's not going to get brought back. I don't like his personality ratings here. And he wasn't that great for us. He wasn't even a big part of our bullpen, which is fine. He can go. That's fine. One big thing I wanted to look at is right here. You can see this is our 2023 salary total right here. And then next year it's going to be this much, which is only an $8 million difference basically. And we're dropping around $25 million right here in contracts alone. So that just shows how much money we're going to be gaining next year from contracts costing us more. For example, Castillo's going up 6. Brandon Woodruff's going up 3. We have Evan White, I believe, going up 3 as well. Hernandez could go up 2. We have a lot of guys that are going to go up because of arbitration or their contracts just have a bump in it. So I'm not too confident that we're going to bring back either Jose Ramirez or Mondesi. It just depends how much they want. I'm pretty sure they both want probably around $30 million, which is a whole lot. Maybe if somehow our owner wants to give us more money because we increased attendance or something, our revenue per game went up a lot. Hopefully he can just increase our money because of that maybe. I don't know. We would need a pretty significant increase. As you can see right now, our budget for extension is negative $11 million. Our projected budget next year is going to be 124 compared to 112 now, which is good. It's plus $12 million. I still don't think we're going to be able to bring back either one of them. They're probably going to want too much. Maybe we can find something else to replace them. I just don't see it happening. We do have, though, Joey Bartz and Sano locked up for next year, so they're going to be our catcher and first baseman. Austin's probably going to play third base if we let go of Jose. Torkelson's still going to be at second. Shortstop's up in the air. Riley Green, Trey Harris, Cespedes, that's going to be our outfielders next year. Pitching, Luis Castillo, Woodruff, Lejay, and Toussaint. Those are definitely going to be 4 of our pitchers. That last spot's up in the air between Domingo Herman, what is his name? Jack Leiter. There we go. Jack Leiter and an outside pitching option. That's really the only thing on the starting pitching side of the ball that I want to work with. Edwin Diaz has a team option. That's sort of up in the air too. $8 million is kind of a lot considering I want to bring back, maybe Mondesi. He's probably leading over Jose right now for who I want to bring back. Everyone else should still be here next year. Aroldis Chapman obviously won't, but he's fine to go. And then I'm sure Aaron Fletcher will move to that specialist role, and then Joey Gerber will move into that middle relief, and then that'll be our bullpen next year. It's just that closing position that I need to consider still. That I have no idea my thoughts on that yet. I don't know if I want to bring him back. I don't know if I don't. That is going to be a very hard decision there. Besides that, I don't know if there's any other offseason moves or anything that I've thought of yet. The only thing I can think of is, bringing in someone else to play shortstop and DH for us or first base for us or anything like that. I don't really think we need to make too many moves this offseason because if we can just bring back Mondesi, I think we're the exact same team as we were this year. Jose Ramirez wasn't great for us. He wasn't even above average for us, so I don't think losing him is going to cost us that much. if we just leave Austin at third and we bring in someone else to play DH or first base that can do better than Jose did for us, then we're even better. So we don't need to do that many moves to stay where we're at, if not even just get better. I hope next year can be just as good. Next episode that you guys are going to see is the off-season episode, which should be super exciting. It's actually going to be a huge off-season for us in order to stay competitive. So thank you guys for watching the season recap. I hope you guys got all caught up now. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next episode.